people of the World Wide Web. So it's Cypher Sigma here, it's the weekend, the sun is out, and yes. So what have I been watching this week? So this is a 2 for weekend, so I've actually managed to see 2 movies this week. So the first one up is Sinners. So yes, this is the new Michael B. Jordan kind of thriller, horror. Not quite sure exactly where you would class it. This is from the mind of Ryan Coogler. He has most famously directed Creed 1 and Black Panther 1 and 2, so obviously worked with Michael B. Jordan before. But essentially, anybody who does or doesn't know, hasn't seen the trailer, has seen the trailer and still doesn't know, essentially it is a set of twin brothers played by Michael B. Jordan, Smoke and Stack. They are creating their own kind of juke joint. This all covers like the span of a day. They buy their property, they set up a juke joint, people come there. Unfortunately, they're then visited by vampires, and there is a big vampires versus humans with a lot of other stuff mixed into it. I did enjoy it. There are 2 after credit scenes. I didn't realise this, I thought it was 1. So as you watch the credits will very quickly come up, and then there will be a scene, and then you have to wait all the way to the end of the credits, and there's another little cameo, or not a cameo, but kind of a caveat to the movie itself. So we'll put the spoiler warning up and we'll get into it. So first off, the actors and actresses who are in this, we have Miles Canton. He plays Sammy. He's kind of the main character, what this is all based around. And you realise this when the film starts off and you see him driving towards a church with a broken guitar. You have obviously Michael B. Jordan as twins, Smoke and Stack. You then have Allegory Lindo, if I pronounce his name, as Delta Slim. You'll know if I pronounce his name, you'll know he's playing the harmonica and he's kind of musician in this. You have Haley Steinfeld, who plays Mary, who is the ex-love interest of Stack. And then you have Jack O'Connell in it as Remrick, who I really, really liked. But we shall get into it. So as I said, the story starts off, we have Sammy. He is driving in this car, all ripped up, claw marks after his face. He gets out, walks up to the church with a broken guitar in his hand, opens up the doors, there is a pastor there, everyone's, and they're like, oh, rejoice, you know, he's back, let the guitar go. And then we flash back to a day earlier, and then you have essentially Sammy. He works in the field. He works in the field really early, does his quota of cotton, goes to see his dad, who's in this church that we know. Essentially, he is basically see him to do his, says he's going to be at church tomorrow and stuff like this, but he's going to go and play his guitar. While this is happening, you get to meet you get to meet Michael B. Jordan's twin characters of Smoke and Stack. They're standing outside of a big building that they buy from this like local industrialist. They give them a sack full of money and basically say that this is ours, you know, don't come by, because obviously this is the era of the KKK and stuff like this. Quite well done. This scene is kind of one of the first of Michael B. Jordan being 2 characters on the screen at once. It is mostly done good. It does seem to implore the kind of Game of Thrones effect that there are dark patches. So it is a little, you know, they do it's not like clear, like me, it's like shadows and stuff like this to kind of hide it. But it does quite well. I mean, I only noticed a few places that it wasn't him when they're both on screen together. So essentially, the brothers Smoke and Stack do this, and then they go on their merry way. Then they pick up Sammy, and this is where you link that these 2 are combined. Sammy is the cousin of these twins, and this is where the brothers go to like a path in the road where they've hidden this van, and this is where the brothers split up. So Smoke, he decides to take the van that has all the liquor and stuff on their license and to get a few other things sorted in town. Smoke takes Sammy with him to basically recruit more people to like help him out at their juke joint that will be happening tonight, and to kind of promote it and stuff like this. So this is where you have 2 stories. So obviously Smoke goes into town, he meets the Chows, his Chinese family, he sorts stuff out with that. Some people try and rob him and he ends up shooting 2 of them. He also comes across a little bit later a guy called Cornbread, and he entices him to come along as well. Why Smoke is doing this, Stack is there, obviously they turn up at the train station, they're kind of Seeing the musicians, this is where they meet Delta Slim, and he's encouraged to go there. Also on the way to it, you meet Stack gets Sammy to kind of play, and you realise how talented Sammy really is at playing like the blues and stuff like that. So that was really good. That was really, really good acting, and the scene and stuff was really done well there. But yeah, they're at the train station, they're promoting up, and then this is when you get to meet a few other characters, and this is where Mary comes in. You find out Mary is the previous lover of Stack. Stack left for some reason, and this is all because of the divide between the whites and the colours at this time in the film. But obviously you can tell she is interested in that there is this event going on. In between all of this, you then have a little house in the middle of nowhere. You see this guy kind of jump out into the screen. Part of his skin is burning as the sun is coming down, and he tries to entice himself into the house with these two people. Says people are after him and he needs help and stuff like that. And then kind of the next thing you see is this wagon and car or horse and Indians turn up and basically open the door to the wife, who basically points a shotgun, and he says, "Have you seen this man?" She's like, "No." And he's like, one of them's going to sunset and we need to get going. And he's like, "Oh, if you've let him into your house, there's a darkness on there, you need to be aware." They get on their horse and ride off. As she goes into the back room, she finds her husband bleeding to death on the floor, and Remick, Jack O'Connell's character, sitting in the rocking chair because he's the guy there, and his eyes start glowing, and then she starts screaming as her husband gets up. And that kind of builds the basis of where this story is going, essentially. So then it goes back to the brothers. They all meet up at the shack or this building they bought out. They start they're fitting it out with the lights and stuff like this, getting it all ready. Obviously, Cornbread lay in Tyson, he stands at the door. Delta Slim, he's playing music with Sammy. In between this, there's other people you meet, but I'm not going to go too much into it. So essentially, they have this party. Part of the way through, the Remick and the two people that he's killed at Them Reborn, they all turn up outside. They want to come in. And they're all a bit like, "Oh, this is a bit fishy, why do you want to come in?" And then they start playing their music together, which seems a very like Irish type music, but it's done very, very well. They start trying to entice their way in. They say no. They said, "Well, we'll wait out here." As a little bit of story progresses, Mary talks to Stack and basically says, "Look, I'll go out and I'll try and entice them in. If they've got money or something, it'll help you, because that's kind of why they're setting this whole thing up, to make money, to kind of go and live away from the divide of what the world is at this time." As Mary goes out, unfortunately, you kind of see she starts getting freaked out by the people. Mary goes to go into the thing. Remick flies off. This and the next scene we see that Mary has been turned as she wants to get invited in. She does get invited in. A certain set of circumstances happens, and then she manages to worm her way back into Stack, and then manages to kill and turn him. As she is then forced out, everything goes crazy. Most of the people run off. And this is when Stack then wakes up. He manages to burst out free, and then you have Remick going really crazy, starts a mad Irish dance outside, which is very, very demonic, but very, very fun. All these people that have been there, that have basically left the building, have all been turned, and then essentially you have the few remaining people left inside. To the point that the Chow dad gets turned. The Chow mum decides to let them in. There's a confrontation. A lot of people are killed and fighting. The brothers fight each other. And Remick is then... Smoke and Stack fight. Smoke seems to have killed Stack. He then goes, kills Remick when he's outside. As the sun's coming up, all the vampires burn to death. Smoke is essentially the last one left. And then you have this weird realization that comes through, that essentially when Remick met the two people, they were Ku Klux Klan members, and this was all a plan. The bloke who sold them the property basically was going to turn up in the morning and shoot them. So Smoke gets this gun box that he's had in the back and basically sets a trap. The bloke turns up, he basically blows them all away, and he gets killed, and then he dies. Obviously Sammy also survives. Remick concentrates on Sammy because of when Sammy plays earlier in the film, like we mentioned, there's a kind of music he can kind of, his music can split like reality, and there's a lovely scene with all these different dances and stuff. I don't want to go, it's very complex, it's too much. No, but yeah, and then obviously Sammy at the end of it, Smoke tells him to go back. Smoke then gets killed. Sammy turns up at the church like we saw in the beginning of the movie, and that's where you assume the movie finishes. This is where the two scenes then come in. The first one shows Sammy as an older musician. They've got a proper musician playing him, and then at the end he's in this bar, and then Stack and Mary walk in, but now a new age, and essentially what had happened of Smoke couldn't kill Stack. He let him and Mary go on the basis that they would not kill Sammy. They kind of have a chat and remembering that was the best day of their lives or the day before all this happened. So when the Duke joint was up, and him seeing them and giving the guitar and all this stuff, all of that was their best day. And Stack agrees because it's the last day he got to see the sun. Then they kind of go in their separate ways, and the last one you get to see is just Sammy playing, which is supposedly kind of metaphorical. And that is the movie. That is Sinners. What did I think of this movie? I rate this movie 8.5 out of 10. This is actually a very, very amazing movie. Look, I didn't quite gauge at first. I didn't know what it was going to be about, and it's basically there are so many vampire stuff going around nowadays that it's hard for it to be unique. The director did amazing. I did quite like what he did with Black Panther 2. And I think his story worked well. This is a standalone, it works really well. As I say, there were a few scenes were a little bit off with a little bit of CG, but most of it's practical effects. The dancing scenes and the music that they got and people singing all worked really, really well, and was such a unique beast that just came together and is such great. And I mean, I rate it 8.5 because I said I can't fault. There are a few little bits like with the Chinese woman letting them in and a few other bits, but I think they're more plot devices that something would have happened one way or the other. And then Delta Sims kind of cuts himself. That bit I was a little bit, I can kind of see it, but I can't. But overall, it's a really, really good movie, and I love to have it. I do want to pick it up. I don't like the Steelbook, so I won't be picking that up. So I'll just wait until it comes out, and it's a reasonable price on Blu-ray. But have you seen Sinners? What do you think of this new vampire masterpiece in my eyes? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. I'm Simon Screen Time, and I shall see you in the next one.